Hey, welcome back to my channel. And last video we saw that how we got an equation and we'll be solving and we'll be making a graph. But in this one we're gonna go in the reverse process where we'll have a graph, but we gotta find the equation. It's gonna be, again, this one's gonna be easy too. I guess not super easy. I'll give it maybe a 5 out of 10 on a scale of difficulty. And for this thing, again, we have our sequesterer named Andrew Mancini, who's been here for 4 videos, and he's still gonna keep going. You know, he's really encouraging, and he's gonna help us learn these different topics. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome back, students. We're both sad to part with you after this final video, but we hope you've enjoyed.
Yep. Alright, so this is our graph, and we'll show you how to find the equation. Again, let me remind you of the equation that we all did for the last video, which is y equal mx plus b. This is the equation that we gotta use to find the equation of this graph. So Andrew will tell us how to go through this whole process.
Perfect. As you probably remember from the last video, m represents the slope, b represents the y-intercept. Let's take a look at this graph, make sure you can see it. See, are there any points that we can easily identify that can help us either with the slope or the y-intercept? First off, we can tackle the y-intercept. We can see that when x equals 0, this graph passes perfectly through y equals 5. In this case, we already have one of the 2 points that we're looking for solved for. Right now, we know y equals something times x plus 5. We know already our y-intercept. Then we just have to tackle the slope, which is saying the change in y over the change in x. Thankfully, there are a few points plotted, which makes this process relatively easy. We can just say we're going from 5 down to 3 here. That's a change of 2. And how many across are we going? 1, 2, 3. In this case, that means our change in y over change in x is 2 over 3, which we can just plug in right into our slope, leaving us with y equals 2 over 3x plus 5.
Like I said, this was super easy, but going forward, that's going to be some harder graph where you might end up with like no point. So you might not have this 2 point, and you might have this point. So what you got to do is get the whole thing and go down, and then simplify it down. And when you simplify it down, it's going to come down to 2/3. So that's what you got to look forward to, because sometimes the teachers might make it a little harder and just give you the x-intercept and the y-intercept, which might be really far away from each other. So again, remember the cross multiplying, where you gotta simplify things down, which will get you down to this number. And talking about IB scale, if you don't simplify it down and if you put down the whole thing, it's not wrong, it's still right. I mean, that's still the same thing. But again, in IB scale, they're gonna take off a point or 2, which you don't want to lose, because in this kind of thing, it's about a 4 mark. And if you lose 2 points after having the right equation, right y-intercept, right x-intercept, that's what you got to look for. Andrew will tell us more about how this could help us going forward.
Exactly. As we learned in the last video, we can go from this to this. So the basic skills that you're learning are being able to identify points in a graph, knowing that the y-intercept is the point at which x equals 0, and that the slope is the change in y over the change in x. It's just more practice with those skills.
Yep. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this was helpful, and yep, we'll see you soon.